Oh, that bastard.
Oh, I'm about to kick somebody's ass. If they don't leave me the fuck alone. Oh, lie. Hey guys. So
Seriously?
what? So
Sorry.
no, she's fine to talk. Don't give her the hush. So yesterday's second part got cut off because the computer ran out of battery power. So we're gonna make sure from now on that we are in reach of a plug. So to recap,
Don't forget to reach around.
Bring the reach around.
Seriously?
Yeah. So
You gotta reach around and something powerful.
yeah. See, like this. I'm
I'm
reaching around in my back to play with a cord. I mean, God, you're sick. What is wrong with you people? Anyways, so to recap last episode that we did not get a chance to record, Yunari, which is Stephanie's wizard, was with us, and most of the adventure last time in the second episode focused on Bluebell Silverfoot. Bluebell Silverfoot, which is Utera. You're a member of the city guard. And you were basically reported for duty after your absence. You know, a little bit of a vacation time.
I was like, yo, motherfucker.
You showed up to work, and there's a picture of Raven and Yunari. So with your writ of questioning, you tracked them down, which did not take very long.
Oh yeah.
You gave them the grand questioning of what did you do this time?
Mind you, that it is now from like a 2-foot tall character who looks drastically different than she did before.
Yeah.
And they all.
But she knows that you look like that, so it's the fact that, oh my God, all the party members are like 2 feet, like 2.5 feet tall. This is like the small people party.
They're all taller than me. They're all like at least 3
to
3'9".
Like 2 foot something. So you basically took care of your guard business. You found the body. You reported it. You found out one of your privileges as town guard is that you're allowed to drink, by the way. Yep, pretty much. So then you showed up with the paperwork. You told the watch commander what was going on at the desk, and you basically scooted back out onto the streets. Before you had left, you were given a figurine of delivery, which you recognized, and you knew automatically once you start. You were headed that way anyways to go back, and you had felt it vibrate in your pocket, and you're like, oh man, I'm right inside of the building. What do you want? So you got back, and about the time that you'd gotten back and you all had started engaging in conversations,
the computer died.
No. So what you all had discovered is that the piece of paper with all those strange squiggly lines and hieroglyphs were actually a form of mind flayer writing.
Yeah, we went to the big shit.
And when it was translated, it translated into mathematical equations that none of them could be able to figure out.
Careful, this is right near your eyeball.
So the question of where to find a mind flayer came up. And you were referred to 2 outlets. One of them is very accessible to you as a city guard. The other one is all into Sketchball's amaze zone of Wonder, the Dark Corner.
Well, didn't the one name that we were given, Quas,
which is a High Inquisitor.
Right. Wasn't that a name that Grandma knew?
Mm-hmm.
Or that there was connections with Grandma?
Your grandma has been questioned by him a number of times.
Okay.
She does not. She has. In fact, when the name comes up, she cringes. Most creatures cringe when they hear that name because they know that they've done something or affected some way that the city's power balance basically stays running. So it's go search for Render Ben, which is where you referred to. Or go and try and find the office. Well, you know where the Inquisitor's office is. I mean, it's to find the Inquisitor. You basically have to go into the. You have to approach the Nobles' Quarter, and there's an HRM building, and it's one of those It's one of those multi-story buildings with magical elevators.
This is something I would suggest I take on that task of like bringing the information to him solo.
Okay.
Just because.
You know, you do have a member of the
Yeah.
you do have a criminal organization member with you.
I want to
Give me 5, Lily. Welcome to being a member of a thieves guild. What you got, partner?
I know what the creature is. I just can't get.
What's that?
The beholder.
The beholder.
Yeah,
With the
Vargas. Yeah.
No, I meant the actual
What it was.
monsters.
Oh yeah, he's a beholder, or it refers to itself as a he.
Okay.
And then you have to remember what sets this D&D campaign apart from other D&D campaigns is the context of this style of beholder is what's known as an insane beholder. So if the insane beholder is actually willing to have conversations with you, imagine what a regular beholder is like.
Josh, in my last campaign, I dealt with a beholder.
Okay, so every DM handles beholders differently now. My style goes a little back to 2nd edition. It's Planescape. So.
Hey, so, Raven, I'm gonna go check up on this stuff and get this all squared away. Do we need any extra papers, or you want me to take the papers with me?
Yeah, I wish for you to take the papers over wherever you're going.
All right.
Okay. So you set off for the office then. How are you gonna get there? Because at 2 feet, at like barely under 2 feet and flying, oh my god, that's a lot of constitution rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the shortcut to get there is you can be able to hail down a lightning cab or a lightning carriage.
Yeah.
You can wave down a rickshaw runner or like one of the ones that run around on the electric, like the lightning bikes, basically.
I'm gonna hail whatever happens to come up first.
Oh my. Tara, welcome to Insanity. Stephanie made the same mistake as well. What are you whispering over there, crazy butt?
You have to really make them do that.
Okay, so.
Start like gathering things. Okay.
So the first thing that passes by you is actually a lightning, like one of the lightning carriages, where it just has a rider and no horse.
Okay.
And like there's this aperture on the front that looks like it would hold a horse, but it has like a large blue orb that looks like it has an intense lightning storm inside of it.
Fucking awesome.
It is very awesome to behold, and you've known that in the past there have been accidents where these things have been set free, and all of a sudden there's a lightning or like a storm elemental all over, like hauling ass out of the city or deciding that it's going to destroy half the city ward. So it's nifty, but it can be really destructive. So
let's do this.
Okay, so when you wave it down, there's actually a dwarf driving it. The dwarf hops off. He opens he goes, "Where to, missus?" And he opens the door.
I'm up for some fun. Let's go here.
So you tell him that you need to go to the HRM building.
I need to go to the HRM building.
Okay, so he goes, "Righto then, ma'am." Closes the door. You hear him climb up a little ladder. The carriage shakes back and forth as he gets settled, and then you hear something like what would normally be like a lightning storm. What you got, partner? What?
Tell you later.
Okay. Why don't you do this?
Write it down.
I wrote it down on my notebook.
Here. Why don't you write it down on a piece of paper? That way you can be able to tell me, and you don't have to whisper. Just write notes back and forth. So you hear something that sounds like a light rainstorm, and like the carriage starts moving forward, and then you hear something that sounds like a roaring thunderstorm, and like a few seconds later, like you don't really notice how long it takes, or you don't really notice a jostle or anything. Mm-hmm. But once you get there, like it's only it feels like it's only a matter of a few moments. Mm-hmm. So he looks at you and he goes, "That will be half a gold, ma'am."
Okay.
Third live stream, 4 curse words. Yes, I love it. Yes. Yes. So
Half a gold.
So that would be like, it would be like 50 silver.
Okay.
So he hands you back your change.
Mm-hmm.
He hands you back 50 silver. I'll record it on your character sheet. My God, I hate this. I hate money systems. But we'll handle that later.
What was it called? A lightning carriage?
Yeah, it's a lightning carriage. Wait a minute. Why did I put number locks off? 169.
By the way, while I get out, I'm checking like the way the harness setup is.
So if you have, no. So what were you looking for? Because you don't really have any skills.
I mean, she's roguish, so she should be able to like.
So if you were to try to steal it.
No, I'm not gonna steal it. Just,
Okay.
Like, loosen the binding. Just looking to see if there's a way to loosen it up. Yeah.
Without you being familiar with the actual magic that goes into it, you give me a d20 roll.
13.
So, like, based off that roll, like you're flat off the top of your mind, 20 intelligence roll tells you that if you're the one to do that and breach it or cause it to be breached, like you know that you would get very electrocuted in the process.
So I'm just gonna like hearing over.
So like when you lean into it, like
not close enough to touch it, but
okay.
You know.
So like you hear him talking to somebody else. Like he opens the door for him, and you see him do this number.
Looking at you.
Point does the whole Pascal, points to his fingers and then does the pointy finger at you like I'm watching you.
I'm doing that.
Okay. So by the way, since you remember the city guard, you have one of those neat little insignias on you. So that would probably be the other downside of doing it. So you hear him basically get his directions. He pulls off slowly, and if you're wondering about the way that it works, so when that orb basically starts up whatever process that the reins that he has in his hands that attach to just basically down the poles and then into the orb itself with whatever magic that device is. That's what basically causes it to power, and it causes like a huge lightning surge to be powered through the carriage, and then it takes off. So, HRM building is a giant, huge. It's like somebody took a giant obelisk and plopped it into the middle of the city, and it has windows on different levels. You see where there's some people are like leaning out windows, smoking pipes. Some people are leaning out eating lunches. Like at one point, like you actually see like a cup of water or something be tossed out of a window, and like it's so far up, like it doesn't really even hit the ground. It's more like a mist.
Okay.
So it's a huge building. So and there's one major door, big huge marble doors, and they're always open. And you see like a desk that seems to fill the entire doorway. And let's give you your random race roll. Oh, okay. So sitting behind the desk is a human.
I've encountered a few of those. Come on.
Okay, so there's a lot of humans.
Yeah.
So it's a very large woman with red curly hair. She leans over the desk.
Figure out what vehicle it is? You want to open it up and look?
Do you want to yell at them?
Because my truck is right there. You should be able to see it 3 versions.
So when you walk up to the desk, basically there's a large woman with red hair. She goes, "How can I help you?" She goes, "Oh, you're a member of the city guard."
It's not that first spot. It's like right there. Okay.
Okay. She goes, "What can I do for you, sweetheart?"
I have official business. I need to speak with so-and-so.
She goes, "Oh, you don't look like his type." She goes, "All right, well, hold still a second. Try not to lose your cookies. Here we go." You hear her pull a lever, and then you hear her pull another lever, and you hear her press a button, and then you hear her pull a lever, and it goes, and then the desk does, like, you feel like you spun around.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you've turned around, there's a door,
Mhm.
and like you're actually out in the hallway,
Okay.
and like you see an office door that says "High Inquisitor Quoth. Knock 3 times before you come in."
Okay.
So you knock really weird.
Yes.
Okay, so
Hurry up.
do you open the door?
Yeah.
So when you go to open the door actually opens. And when you come into the room, there's enough light that you can see, but the first thing that greets you is like shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of like, there's a human skull on one thing, there's like a crystal on another, there's a broken sword hilt, there's a bottle with like a mummified hand in it, and like when you start looking at it, it moves. There's like there's a skull in there that's shaped like an octagon made out of crystal, and when you look at it, it seems to like want to move its jaws. So there's just a mind blowing amount of just crazy ass shit. And you hear a voice from the back, and you don't hear it audibly so much as you hear it within your head. It says, "Step past the shelves."
So of course I won't go over and stop. Alright. That cross.
So when you come through the shelves and everything, it takes you about a good minute, 2 minutes. So like, you remember how Mulder's office looked in the X-Files? It was like full of like just
Crap spewing everywhere.
file cabinets, weird things hanging from the walls. Well, when you walk in here, it says "We are always watching," and it has pictures of like inquisitors, like of different races wearing different robes, and it's like you could tell like it's almost in the style like those old 50s like propaganda posters. And sitting behind the desk is a large purple creature about 8 feet tall. He has 6 tentacles. They're about 4 feet. I
recognize him from Grandma's description of him.
Yeah, he's got 2 tentacles that are about 6 feet. And you notice that he has very long arms that go with his 8-foot body. And he's actually sitting on a stool with his feet propped up, and he's smoking a pipe.
Hi there. So I'm here on official / unofficial business for you?
And he goes, "Oh,
Not with this, like pointing to the emblem.
okay." So again, you notice that the voice is not
Yeah.
out of the mouth.
That doesn't bother her.
Okay. What you're actually encountering, let me give you a d20. Oh, you may not want to do that, Lowen, because like I am not a very sturdy surface for a cat. So give me a d20 roll.
16.
So your mind automatically wants to fight it because your L side note, like that little bit of elf in you and a little bit of Fae go, "Oh my fucking god, that is some kind of horrible creature." And before you know it, it's in your head. And it's like, oh, that's so much better.
Knowledge of him?
Until you've actually encountered psionics, or like, like normally like if it wasn't so much the fact that his office, if it was just a mind flayer in the street and this happened, it might be like a will save, and then like, oh my god, I need a horror save, things like that. But we're not trying to run one of those style of adventures.
Okay.
So he's in your head, and he goes, "Oh, well, let me see the papers then."
Here we go.
So when you hand the papers to him, he reads it, And he looks at the other copy, and you hear a sound out of him that's like, it sounds like he's struggling with something in his throat, but by the body language, you want to say like maybe he's laughing. So like he takes the pieces of paper that the Thieves Guild can translate it, he crumples them up and like he tosses them into a wastebasket in the corner.
So let me guess, it's not just simple mathematics.
He goes, "Oh, there's more to it," and he takes his tendrils and his fingers and he's running them across the paper, and he goes, "Oh my!"
There was a raised texture on that.
He goes, "No, that's not right. Well, whoever wrote this document doesn't have any kind of knowledge of our language."
Copied one of them.
Well, even still, with a copy, it's still enough of an impression from where the writer was sitting there and writing it out. I'm sorry, you may not be familiar with some of the powers that we have. But in our office, we take care of things like this at the random. And I'm actually able to read the nice inscriptions off the paper that the writer was nice enough to leave with their emotions. And a lot of what I sense was a lot of aggravation. But what you simply have here, unfortunately, somebody that's using our language as a disguise for something else. So I would tell your roguey friends that maybe they should go back to the very beginning, and that this may be a red herring that's meant to unfortunately send you off your trail.
So, do you have any knowledge about some of the bagheads?
Oh, the Fangs of
Okay.
So the Fangs of
was one of them where Jack and Ryan was one of the bodies that you were found on?
No, this wouldn't be something that they're involved in.
But one of them was there.
Yeah, and you've met with their boss already. He goes, I'm so sorry to be rude and read your mind, but Vargas is their boss.
Okay.
Now,
so I'm sure that if he's reading her mind, that, like he knows of her background.
Yeah, and it's a little off-putting because like I see that look on your face. I imagine your character has that same look on her face of what? And he goes, I would tell you to take this paper and go ask Essex something about it. She'll tell you who Essex is.
Okay.
So, do
you mind if I ask one other question?
No, please. I'm trying to stay out of your head, so please.
It's okay. So is there any way that I can help get Granny unlocked?
He puts out his pipe and he goes, "Well, that's interesting." He goes, "Would you like to tell me how you're related to the oh God, what is it?"
Because he like instantly got the image of her face then.
Yeah, he goes, "How are you related to her? Because I know you're calling her grandmother, but you're not an elf. I could see at some point that you have. It's difficult to tell with your races with Fae.
You've got my permission if you want to just kind of like look around in there and get the full on like what all happened, because I don't have 110% knowledge of what exactly happened. If you want to help with that, like
okay. So he digs through your head.
She relays what she knows too, by the way.
As far as what are you trying to relate to it?
I was told, transport from one room to another, and that went awry. And that was by the other grandparent.
Oh, he goes, I don't know anything about that. He goes, that's not my forte. He goes, if you're
the funky magical storm of like.
He goes, oh well. He goes, well, out of the sea of storms. He goes in one of his file cabinets and he pulls out a book, and he goes, this is an open document that we had, and the Sea of Storms, what we have, or the base, it's whatever you want to call it, the Inlet of Storms, the Bay of Storms, the Sea of Storms. It all connects back out there, and it connects all the way down into the Southern Thunderlands, and a little beyond, I believe. And there's of course the Islet of Storms, which you all have been to. Now, it's rumored, and not a lot of wizards or anybody have really pushed their luck because a lot of ships go missing. Wizards, you might be lucky to find their body. and then however they decided that they were going to try to fly their suicidal selves into the storm to see what's beyond it. There have been a lot of wizards and a lot of psionicis lost, and
So that's the
shits.
storm I went through?
So what you all had ended up going through, it looks like, is you went through an arm of one of those storms. And a lot of times what arcane magic will have end up happening is that there'll be I guess for lack of a better term, it will resonate off any magical effects. And the resonating has different effects. Sometimes magical items stop working. Sometimes magical items are recharged. And it looks like in your case, from what I can be able to put together, is that it looks like the elf creature or the fey creature that your grandparents unfortunately had your grandfather, I think, is the one that did it.
I'm not sure. All I remember was
I'm
the
kind of
two
hazy.
of them were, they...
So your grandfather likes to play with magic, from what I can gather out of your memories. So he is the one that was doing it, and he thought it was nifty to be able to teleport you between rooms. And y'all were not residents of the city at the time, so this is probably something that led to this effect. Wherever you all were living, there were still fey creatures. We haven't had fey inside the city for a very long time, or if they are here, they're hiding. So whatever fey creature that was in the way of the teleportation spell, basically, for lack of a better term, took two sandwiches and shoved them together inappropriately. And the spell resonance from the lightning storm didn't know, it's not I don't imagine that it's an intelligent magical effect, but it seemed to pick the strongest version of magic, which seemed to be what you are right now. And it went, oh. And for lack of a better term, it basically fixed the magic that, you had encountered. So
the flowers that I brought back with me that are now throughout the town city, are those helpful for anything?
They are, and they're starting to be made into production. Unfortunately, it's still not enough to be able to. If you really want to get your grandmother out, she'll have to go to a sick house. She'll have to be cleansed, and she'll be out in 3 days.
Okay.
So he writes a letter, and he takes a candle, and he lights the candle, sits there and waits a few minutes, and he dips the wax, or he causes the wax base to go on the paper, takes the ciggy, presses it on the wax for a few seconds, the whole process, hands it over to you and goes, take this to the watch gate, and you'll basically get your okay to have her walked out. You won't be able to do it personally, but the letter will assure that she is walked out and debugged. She'll have to take residence with your grandparents and the rest of the family. Now, if she wishes to take anybody else with her, that's fine by me. I've included that in the letter for you.
Okay.
And he hands the paper to you, and he goes, was there anything else?
Is there anything or any news that you would need back, once some of these situations are taken care of?
No, not at all. He goes, most of the time when I learn things, it's through my various sources.
Okay.
But don't worry about it, Silverfeet. Keep doing your job.
Okay.
So he basically goes back to, he repacks his pipe, goes back to what he was doing, and just one of those things that he lets you see yourself out.
Okay. So she's got the corrected document for what the papers mean.
Yeah.
And then her tucked away notes.
So there's no, the corrected meanings and stuff, you're basically told that it doesn't make any sense. There's no grammar behind it. The words
I'm gonna make notes as to
what he had said,
what it boils down to, who we need to go to next, and follow up on stuff.
Okay. So as you are out in the hallway, you see a creature that looks like a armadillo. He's about 5 foot tall. He's got humanoid hands and feet. He's walking along. He has city guard armory on as well. And he looks at you, nods, and then like looks at you again. Goes, righto then. Just haven't seen many folk in this city.
I haven't seen you around here before either, you know?
He goes, oh, I'm Captain Ludo. He goes, I'm in charge of Special Crimes Division. He goes, maybe you should come down to my office sometime. We could use somebody like you. Not that I know your skills or anything, but you're a pixie. You guys are magical.
I'm just getting used to being a pixie. Haven't been this way long.
He goes, oh, well. He goes, well, when you get used to it, maybe you should come check me out.
And you haven't talked to so-and-so, her boss.
He goes, oh, no. I'm well above him, I'm afraid. And in fact, I don't go down to your office, I'm afraid. Because I'm a bit what you call in the field. I've got a wily gang of thieves that I'm after.
Really?
He goes, oh, I'd love to get into the specifics of the case, but it's, well, what are you doing for dinner this evening?
Honestly, I don't have any plans.
He goes, well, I would love to regale you. He goes, and he takes out a little card from a pouch and he hands it to you and he goes, this is my address. Come by. I'll have the missus cook dinner and we'll talk business. City guard on the hush hush.
Oh, yes, of course.
So he goes, rightio then.
Do I hear anything in my head from what's his face in the office?
No. So he knocks on the door 3 times, the door opens, and then he closes the door behind him.
Okay.
So.
Do I hear any noises as I'm walking away from the door slowly?
No. But
because I'm small, and I take, like, very short footsteps because
like if you're
small.
sneaking around and you're trying.
No, not sneaking around at all. Just, taking footsteps.
Give me a d20 roll. Since you're so intent on listening.
17.
So you hear, if you hang around him long enough, he goes, I have the papers and the pictures right here, boss. He goes, so the gang of orphans that that were reported to the Violent Crimes Division. Oh, you have to forgive me. I'm used to speaking on my Ireland. He goes, well, anyways, they bear strange tattoos. And under the spell, it looks like a gloved hand that's tattooed on their wee backsides. Because there's about 8 of them. They're all humans. Because I don't know exactly what the tattoos mean. Because that's why I'm here today.
Because, I'm going to go around the corner and just be like, I'm going now.
So you're actually leaving? Okay, so.
Unless somebody calls my name or something, I believe.
No, not at all. So when you basically make your way back, it takes a little while.
I'm gonna go wayside by the gate to see if I can see Granny.
Okay, so you go to take care of the Granny condition first.
No. I'm just gonna go talk to Granny.
Okay, so yeah, when you go to the gate, like it takes a while, and then your grandmother shows up, and she's actually escorted by a whole bunch of other drow that you haven't seen before, as well as some extended family members. And you notice that they're all armed.
Are you well?
She goes, no, I'm fine. She goes, no.
But
she goes, run it. Get my chair for her. God, I have to remember her verse. Let's go get my chair for me.
Are you sure you're well? Because if needed, we can get you to an infirmary so you can get out sooner.
No, I don't wish to stand like common filth. Don't worry about it.
I'm looking at her with that, like...
Wait. Would you stop that? Stop that. It's undignified. So, tell me, what have you brought me?
Well, I can't give it to you directly, but I do have information here that can help you and anybody using that needs to come out with you to get out soon, like within just a few short days.
She pokes one of them and goes, go get the tape, go get it. So when he pops forward, like you notice that he looks an awful lot like your cousin from portraits that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And when he takes the paper from you, what was it that you were going to give her?
Remember, I was told I can't give it to them.
Oh,
like,
that's right. So when he comes closer, like he whispers to you, what do I
I have enough in imprisonment that I can get to a guard, have somebody get to the guards to get people out of that.
Just hand me something. Don't hand me
I hand him a dirty hanky.
that. You hand him a dirty hanky. So he takes this dirty hanky in his hand and he presents it to your grandmother, and your grandmother looks at you, looks at him, and goes, I think I get sick from that. So she's still eyeing the hanky out of the corner of her eye as she's talking to you. So I have something that I'm trying to put together.
Okay.
Your cousin.
I look at the boy.
No, not him.
Okay.
No, he's not your cousin. He's your third cousin. He's your third cousin, and he's not related to you by blood.
Do you mean the one that was doing the singing that disappeared?
Yes,
Okay.
we have something, but this isn't the time or place.
Okay.
And she goes, the gnomes don't need to know. So.
I'm trying to distance from them.
Okay.
It seems like every time I turn around, they keep coming back. Can't we just pull that weed and get rid of it?
So without any further conversation, she gets up and she walks off, and all the drow follow her as well.
Okay. I kind of grin, even though like Bob's going to be pissed.
Yep. Very much so. So you give the papers to the guards?
No, because I'm not supposed to give it to them directly.
Oh, you're supposed to. Well, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go to the guardhouse and present the letter.
She was told she wasn't supposed to give it to them directly herself.
No, you weren't supposed to give it to your family members directly. You're supposed to give it to the guards.
Okay, so I did the guards then.
Okay, so because otherwise, if you're not giving them the piece of paper, you're just holding the piece of paper. It's gonna be like.
Well, I was gonna have somebody else deliver it for her.
Well, you could take it yourself, but it would probably get the process along a little faster if you're trying to get Granny out, like you're trying to rescue her.
Yeah.
So you turn the paperwork in to them. They don't really say anything to you. They say we'll have her processed as soon as possible, and we'll have her delivered to the address. Plus, he leans back in his chair and he goes, "Hey, Robbie, got one of them special cases. Send a couple of the boys out and have them escort it." And so he hands them papers, and like he starts looking through some of the files and documents. Like you see him pull up a copy of your grandmother's identification documents, and he hands it over to him. And along with he takes the letter and he press copies it with not that same kind of figuring that you've seen before, but like a different figurine. This one has like two quills in its hands. It's doing holding its arms out. So he sets the figurine on top of the paper and sets another piece of paper underneath it. And after a few seconds, it wobbles back and forth. He takes the copy of the paper, hands it to him, does a duplicate that keeps it for him, and he hands the letter back to you. And he goes, "That's all there is." He goes, "Have a good day, Miss Silverfoot."
On the way home, I stopped to drop off the other information.
Okay.
And let them let them know exactly what was said. Just regarding the paperwork.
Okay. So when you stop into the house, as it's known. So when you go to the house, Lily, you're still there. So you get a knock on the door. At this time, Yaneri has been excused. She's excused herself to go home. She has a few wizard things to take care of, but she says that if you need her, please let her know and she'll be back. So you've been basically hanging out, enjoying the boss's hospitality. You've had a few snacks while you're waiting. So when you pop in with the paperwork, what do you say?
Give a rundown of the information regarding the papers itself, his impression on it, about what exactly the deal is with the bag heads. He
knew that part.
Yeah.
So he shakes his head and goes, "Okay."
And then who they need to go to speak to get other information.
and I leave that to her to do.
I would say, so you mentioned the name Essex?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you basically leave that for her to do?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go with her, or? No, you're going to make Lily roll it out? So.
I could go with her as long as it's not going to take a long time, because I do need to get home to Mom and let her know it's coming.
Okay. So, why don't
Does
you?
Mom have
Why
one of
don't
those communication devices?
Not that their statute could reach.
Okay.
Because they're usually in pairs. Now, however, you could go down to the corner and send a dove, or you could send a pigeon. Because that's another form of like message sending. Or you could try to find one of those nifty wizards that walk around that offer spells for sale. They could do message sending.
No, because no. I'll get a dove and have it simply state, Mom, I'll be home soon. Just running an errand, finishing up some work for the guard.
Okay.
We do have some information to discuss later this evening, though.
Okay. So the location that the boss tells you all to go is what's known as the House of Favors, and it's in the Elf District. So it's actually not that far from your house. So Lily,
Well,
since you're your guild's representative, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Sure.
So your boss tells you that you're looking for a drow woman named Essex, and she runs a business known as the House of Favors. And maybe you guys should proceed along the lines that you were given from your guard friend here was given. So the boss dismisses you all. Do you want to do a roll to see if you can find it, or are you just going to wonder about? Because you've never been here. You got one dice there, buddy?
No.
Not 40? Is that your lucky dice?
Yes, 19.
What? That was a 1 you showed me. Okay, so 19. So, you are given a little bit of direction from your boss.
The banister.
It's probably he tastes cat foot.
Or cat butt.
Or cat butt. Or catness.
Don't worry about it.
Or something that was put up there by humans.
Crazy.
So, you find this house. It is actually modeled to look like a individual's living house. And there is a pool bell outside.
What are you going to do with pool bell? Well,
You pull the bell. So when you pull the bell, there is actually a small gray. He looks like you. He looks like a lot of gnomes, but he's gray. He's pale. He has gray eyes and he has black hair. And he looks at you.
Does he look familiar?
No. He's what's known as an under gnome. They're cousins of your race, but you guys don't really have much contact with them. So he looks at you and goes, "What can I do for you today?"
I don't.
You're here to see
We're here to
Essex.
see Essex.
He goes, "I'll let the missus know." He goes, "Please come in."
Okay.
And he looks at you. Goes, "Are the two of you together?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay then. Looks kind of fidgety at you. Closes the door. He goes, "Right this way, please."
Fidgety at me, I'm like,
especially it's not so much you, it's what you have on in the city guard. And he goes, "Please come this way. I'll have tea ready for us." So he leaves you in the presence of a female dwarf. Brown hair. She's got a dress on, earth tone. Nothing real standout about her. She goes, "I'll have the tea ready in a few minutes." She goes, do you wish any refreshments as well as your tea? Any food or snacks?
Nothing. No, thank you, miss.
She looks at you and goes, oh, we need to fasten you up a little, wee one. She goes, would you like something to snack on?
No, I appreciate it.
Okay then, Missy. So she walks out through a double. She basically walks in. We see the swing door. You see this kitchen back there. You hear the sound of like the pumping, pumped, and everything. Like a few moments into the sounds, you can tell she's basically working in the kitchen. And then from downstairs, there comes an elf or a drow woman. You can tell she's got very strong elf features, high cheekbones, the ebony skin, white hair.
Does she remind me of Grandma?
Not at all.
Not in her coloring or anything?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, if
Josh,
you...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I meant to say, I don't really need to be good.
well, that portion hasn't come up yet, so no, you can refuse to hear in a few minutes. But in fact, if you want to give me a D20 roll because like you were asking about it, but you would like, do you want to give me a D20 roll to see if you notice anything unusual? One dice. I hear multiple dice in that hand. You got to stop cheating.
You gotta use one.
No, come on. Let me get a clean roll out of that
Reroll.
one.
Pick one
Just
and roll.
out of that one. We don't do the best of. There's no advantages. That's 2. Is it?
No.
Is it?
It's 1.
18.
18. So
it's
you.
higher than any of the other rolls.
So what you? Well, you've got to add in your modifiers too, but you're still well enough to where you can see it. You notice that the skin tone is not quite right, and the shade of white hair for being a drow is not correct. Nor are the eye colors because
Do you
her
want
eyes
my roll?
are blue. What was your roll?
20. 20.
I figured it would be because like you have a high pretty bonus. You know, when you have to look at it, it's 18. So right off the bat, you would notice that it's unusual. So that's why I asked her to roll.
Oh, okay.
But so what you end up noticing is that she's not a drow. At fucking all. She's some kind of elf, but she's not a drow.
So I'm looking at her like,
is that 6 curse words? Nice. Love it. I love the fact that you keep count. So when she walks in, she's dressed like a drow, and her fashion sense is like a high collared dress, you know, something your grandmother would like be like, oh, that looks nice. Mm-hmm. So it's like a high neck. There's lots of spider webs in the design. There's spiders on it.
Ooh.
She, you know, there's like a little bit of a nature motif like towards the bottom of the dress.
Where you change your dress. It was beautiful. My grandmother would love that.
She goes, I have servants that make my clothing. She goes, it's all designs and everything.
Very beautiful.
She goes, you may wanna take your grandmother shopping in the Noble District. There's quite a few tailors over there that could do custom work for you.
I'm sure she's got plenty of
one of the other things you notice is this accent of hers is the same as your mother, father, grandfather, and grandmother's.
Okay.
She goes, won't you please have a seat for tea?
Can I then be all like, just realize that I'm kind of fluttering at the time? You're like, oh. I sit down. I look over at you and be like,
I sit down and I'm just like.
So, you know, the dwarf woman comes back in and she pours a cup of tea for each one of you. She leaves out sugar.
You said it was a gnome.
No, she's a dwarf.
You said no.
The one that's working in the kitchen is a dwarf.
Okay.
The gnome is the one that went upstairs that was like shifty about you.
Okay.
So,
No tea, please.
but she'll still pour a glass just in case. And she'll exit the room, and once she's out of sight, she goes, what can I do for you today?
We obtained some documents that we were advised to seek you out to follow up on information. And the Inquisitor said that you would be able to.
Once you say that, she goes, she mutters something under her breath.
What did she say?
Give me a roll.
I'm gonna do that term.
Ooh, that was just an 8. Tell me my modifiers are good on that one.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear it here in a second.
Okay, my modifiers.
She rolled what? 15?
15. Where are my modifiers?
You got listen. What's your modifier to your listen?
10.
Which is your plus number?
She's trying to find it because it's not standard. It's just like for nothing.
Want me to take a look for you?
Oh, found listen. So it's a composite 20.
So it's around about 20. So what you hear her say is she says something about the right of accusation.
I filed it away for later. I just kind of act as if I don't hear it.
She goes, well, may I see the documents then?
I hand her a copy.
She goes, oh. She goes, yeah, I did this. She goes, I did this as a special order for somebody.
Is there any reason that it would have been found on a dead body in the order?
I made at least 20 different copies of this when I did it for the customer.
Well, unfortunately, because it's come to the guard's attention with the dead body, we're going to need the list of whom all you made that for.
Well, here, she gets up and she claps her hands, and that gnome appears from before, and he has like a list of cards in his hand, and he puts them in front of her, and she goes through them, and she looks at him irritated, and he like hustles out of the room really quickly, and when he returns, he has like an ink quill and like a piece of paper. Okay. So she sits there and writes down.
I'm watching them both very attentively.
Yeah. So she writes it down, and like he quickly gathers everything up, and he hustles out of the room again. Okay. And she hands the paper to you with an address, and the address is actually.
I thought you said you made this for 20.
She goes, oh, I made 20 copies for the same customer.
20 copies for the same customer, but each copy had something different on it.
No, they're all the same.
Josh? Were they all like each document exactly?
They are indeed all the same.
Okay. Okay. Was there any reason that an individual would have been sought after and killed to obtain information? Like
she goes, oh my. She starts laughing. She goes, oh. She goes, no, that's politics of the city. There's lots of people that kill one another.
But even with politics in the city, why would they each, the bodies that we found have had this information? And then why would this be the only thing left on the body when everything else
I'm afraid that would be a question for my customer, not for me. I merely make fraud documents, do favors for people, things like that. I'm afraid that I don't set up dead bodies, and I don't get my hands dirty.
Do you happen to have any knowledge about the...
She goes, oh, before you ask, everything has a price. She goes, what are you willing to pay for this information? And what is the information first? And I'll tell you a price unless you have a price in mind. You automatically know that you automatically know that this is a drow tradition.
I'll hold on to my question for now because I already have information from the Inquisitor about it.
That's very well. She goes, shall we finish our tea or are we done? Hey, that's my DM mug. That says, because I'm the DM, no explanations needed.
It has lemon water in it. Do you want to drink that?
No, keep your bougie lemon water to yourself, crazy.
Do we have sufficient information for what you need? We're done here. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. So she gets up and she basically dismisses you all, and that's that.
All right.
And you basically end up leaving the house.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I keep an eye out to see if anybody's watching as we leave her place.
Give me a roll.
Yeah. Can I re-roll?
What'd you roll?
A 2.
So you rolled a 2 plus...
2 plus, did you say modifier was 18?
So it's a 20. So no sooner do you leave, you start noticing that you are being followed around by no fewer than like 3 elf bards that are like a mariachi band.
Josh, I was doing
The same thing.
Like-
Got a 19.
Okay. There's like one playing a violin, there's one playing a guitar, and the other one's playing a flute. And they just seem to be wandering the street behind you. And not necessarily you, but they just seem to be wandering in the direction. And you notice like every so
Follow
often.
me and try to keep up.
Okay. So
we're going into the very, very clustered market.
Okay, so then you need to give me each 2 rolls.
D20 or?
Yep, 2d20 rolls.
What's that dice?
I said 2, not 4, Lila.
Taking 2 away then.
You roll those 2 again, then. I'm gonna make you re-roll when you do this crazy shit.
5. Okay,
A
so that one
19.
is 19.
And a 6.
How is that? Oh,
And then a 10 for the
I
second
thought that
one.
was a 9. And then I got a 10 for you.
Is that
Okay.
like a lemon piece that you have in there that you're trying to poke at?
Strand of hair.
So what you guys notice is that you think you've lost them, but then you notice that they're merely standing on a street corner playing for a few moments, and then you turn around again and you know you definitely haven't lost them because now they are wandering behind you playing, and there are actually people paying them gold and different kinds of coins.
Do we see what's his face, the draw with the teeth anywhere?
You'd have to go look for Evan.
I'm gonna go look for him.
Okay. So
Are they gonna? And then like as I'm gonna tell her to go back to her place and
Okay.
see if they follow. Okay, so she's going back to her place to relay information.
So when you two
I make a
split,
copy of the information she gave us for you to take to your boss.
Thank you.
okay,
When we split up, who do they follow?
neither.
Neither?
They stand there and then they continue playing. So looking for Evan, from what you guys know about, or what you know about Evan, from when you all traveled with him on this ship, that Evan has several different offices, and he actually has a office in the corners, or what's known as the triangle. And he also has another office in the district with what's known as the pipe. So,
Which one's closest?
from the elf district where you guys were kind of headed, it would be like the corner, the triangle.
I'm going there first.
So when you start going into the areas that are nicknamed like the pipe, the triangle, these are all large, like,
Oh, it's in the bottom.
you know how
No.
like the giant skyscrapers are in Manhattan,
Mhm.
but like picture like some of like that Gothic texture, like, and it's a big, huge 3-cornered building that is at least like 30 stories tall. And one of the things that you notice is that it's made out of brick. That
Do I see any mariachis anywhere near me?
No elf bards, no
Nothing else
mariachi.
following?
Nope, nobody else following you or
Okay.
anything. You can tell that you definitely lost whatever they were doing or whatever that situation was.
I think I'm distracted by money. Okay.
Okay, so when you go in, you see that his name is listed on a plaque. There's actually a floor, the door number.
I go there.
So you go up there without any problems. You're able to follow. Like, it's pretty easy to walk up the stairs. You can fly, whatever.
Mhm.
So when you go into the courtyard, that's actually where the stairs are. So you're actually walking. When you walk up, you're actually passing by people's windows.
Mhm.
So you're passing by people who are cooking, people are sleeping. It's like walking past people's apartments, like a really bad hotel, basically.
Okay.
So when you get to the floor, you're able to walk into a hallway that leads to like where all the doors are and everything. It's wide open, and when you get to the door, you actually notice that you can smell smoke.
Is the door unlocked?
Do you knock or you just try the door?
I'm gonna knock while I'm trying the door.
Okay, so you knock and pull the door open, and you see that this room is no bigger than like a broom closet, and Evan is sitting in there smoking a cigar. And without looking up, he goes, "Harold, you're late. You know that?"
not Harold.
He goes, oh.
He's locked up
Goes,
in the
so
drunk tank.
he looks at you and goes, oh. Goes, what are you doing here then?
There is some crazy ass shit that's going on here. And I might need you at my mother's house here within the next couple days.
He goes, yeah, give me the address.
Give him the address. And then I asked him if he knows anything about Essex. Or whatever her name.
He goes, what? He's kind of flustered when you mention the name.
The faux drow.
He looks at you and he gets real offended. He's got to look like he's real angry, and he goes, this Essex and I happen to be very close.
Okay, then you tell me why her skin color, hair color, and all this is off.
He goes, close the door and I'll tell you.
Okay.
He goes, there are some citizens of the city that prefer to dress as other races.
Yeah, I get that. But why is she trying to be highbrow drow society?
Because,
like my grandmother, highbrow. Like, sort of.
Because, believe it or not, Essex is not drow royalty.
No, she looks more like my grandparents on the other side of my family.
Exactly. Follow what I've said to you. She's not drow royalty.
Right.
So she's here.
Oh.
And you know, we prefer not to kiss and tell, but since you were very rude about it.
I'm sorry.
He goes, don't be. He goes, don't be. He goes, you know, I hear a lot of it from Harold. Because his whole entire thing is you know, he's not comfortable with it. Because first of all, you know, he's not comfortable with elves, he's not comfortable with drow. And you kind of know that. You know, it's,
right, and I just want to know like what the hell is going on.
It's a dwarf thing with him. With her, I don't even know how to broach the situation. But I can tell you that she's not that shade everywhere. So, if you need anything as far as showing up in a few days,
let me just say, my mom, and you know that she's of law descent, and grandmother are going to be in the same house for an extended period of time.
So that's interesting. Because, well, you guys should have fun. I mean, you know, family games, dinner, you know, maybe a nice game of cards.
The way things were looking when I went by to see Granny, there's something going on.
He goes, yeah, she's always got something going on. It's your grandmother.
More than usual. Like, they're gearing up for something.
So they could be. I mean, they're, you know, it's, you know, I don't know what to say, but I'll be there.
Okay.
He goes, you got my bag of money?
No. He said you would have it. All of it.
I meant for hiring me. And by the way, here, this is to get Harold out of the drunk tank.
Okay.
Then he hands you a small pouch of coins, and he goes, there's extra in there, so should keep him out of trouble the next time as well.
Oh, so am I going to be his keeper now?
He goes, well, if you want me to show up in a few days without having to pay my extraordinary fee, just get him out of the drunk tank. We call it even.
Alright, fine.
Besides, I like your grandmother. So he looks at you and like, anything else? Nope. So you leave?
Yep.
So Lily, you go back home.
And I make that fruit salad.
You finally get some fruit salad from your grandmother she's like, oh my goodness. She goes, I've been saving this in the icebox for you. Here you go.
Finally, thank you.
So while you're sitting there eating your fruit salad, like you have a knock on the door.
Like, I'm enjoying my goddamn fruit salad.
So, there's a knock at the door. Your grandmother opens the door, and there's this armadillo-looking creature wearing a floppy hat. He goes, "Good evening, ma'am. May I come in?" She looks at him and goes, "I guess." So he sits down across from you.
I'm fucking pissed off over my face.
Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, yes, that's a nice pair of gloves." He goes, "So it's come to my attention that you were involved in a very weird incident." He goes, "I have the paper here, and I also have a report from the newspaper." He goes, "Well, I was just curious, as I am a curious type person. Was there anything else that you'd like to add to this weird file of information?"
Who was it taken down by?
He goes, "Oh, well," he goes, "Well, it was taken down by Silverfoot."
Then it's exactly the way it's supposed to be because she came in contact. She came to talk to me, and I gave my full story.
Very well, then. So he picks up his hat. He goes, "Well, I'll be seeing myself out then." And he leaves.
Are you gonna look to see if you left it?
He did not leave anything, actually. But so,
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at an advertisement.
as it is coming towards the evening hours, and you were promised that your mother that you would be home.
Right, that way I could
So
explain some things.
when you return home, every light in the house is on.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to open the door
I take a deep breath before I even do
is
it.
actually opened by a drow. And he's wearing a suit. And he goes, "This is Silverfoot." He opens the door for you and bows. Closes the door behind
Do I
you.
recognize this child?
He was one of the ones that were in that crowd.
Wait, I thought we were told we were gonna have like a few days before they were released.
Do you say that out loud?
No.
No?
In my head, I'm like, oh shit.
They beat you to the punch. Very much so, because as you have that oh shit look on your face, he goes, "Your family is in the sitting room. Shall I escort you and call and announce you?"
No, that's not needed. Thank you.
"Very well then, ma'am." And he bows to you and lets you see your way through your own house. So when you arrive in there, your grandmother.
Oh, first thing I'm doing is ducking into a corner and to get cleaned up.
Okay. So
I'm cleaning up, getting out of uniform.
As you're cleaning up, you hear your mother go, "Well, it is delightful to be able to have so many people under one roof, but where do they sleep?" Your grandmother goes, "What do you mean, where do they sleep? They sleep. How many bedrooms do you have?" Your mother goes, "Well, there's one for me, and my husband, and our daughter, and I think we could clear out the basement." She goes, "Oh, well, that will do then. The basement. They can sleep in the basement." She goes, is that even appropriate to have people sleep in it? "Darling, they're servants. We pay them. If they don't like it, they can find other employment."
Now that I'm like changed into, appropriate outfit,
Yeah.
formal, like all
Like
gussied up.
Like when you enter the room, your father is tucked away in the corner, and your grandmother and your mother are sitting on a couch with each other.
So first, I'm like in my head, I'm like,
your male uncles on your mom's side are actually there, and like the moment they see you, they go, "Oh my God, you are kidding!" And like you are suddenly the center of attention.
hi.
And your grandmother looks and goes, "Well, I beat you here. Haha."
You did. I didn't expect it to be quite this quickly. I was hoping to give Mother at least a little bit of a heads
She
up.
goes, "Oh, I wrote her a note and had it sent to him."
Okay.
Your mother looks at the both of you and goes, "Well, I just couldn't refuse because I mean it's either that or your grandmother sleeps in one of those filthy inns, and unfortunately your friend, it seems, insisted that she stay here." She goes, "Oh, this came for you." She hands you a letter, and it's from Hua.
Oh.
And it says, "Dear Silverfoot, I hope you don't mind, but I want your family to keep an eye on your grandmother.
Okay.
Keep her out of trouble. That way I don't have to come and investigate any cases here in the next, I don't know how long. Please take care of yourself and tell her whatever she's planning that if she needs anything, to please contact our offices."
And love your grandma.
Okay. So when she looks at it, she smiles, and your mother sighs and goes, "Well, are you going to say anything to her?" And your grandmother goes, "Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag since everybody seems to know my business these days." She goes, "Ralph!
The
And,
pig!
nope, not Ralph the pig. Ralph,
No, I mean like bring the pig.
There is a small gnome that's an undergnome. He walks in and he has a book. This is a different undergnome.
Okay.
And he looks at her and he hands her the book, looks at you, bows, looks at everybody else, bows as well, and like kind of stands there. She opens the book and she goes, "I found this in the Hall of Records while you all were gone. Your cousin that went missing, it appears that this incident has happened before in our city's history."
Oh my god, I'm getting too fat for this. That cat won't fuck out again.
He put the tape over so nobody can see you being a gear ball.
Make funny faces, nobody will see you. Okay. She goes, "Sephora disappeared. When she disappeared, it made me very depressed. And I've dealt with it, and I think I have a way to be able to get her out. Or at least to be able to check on her." She goes,
Get her out? Like she's trapped somewhere?
"Oh, yes." And she goes, "This are my notes." She holds the book open for you to be able to take a look.
Oh, yep.
And you notice that her notes detail something about magic gem that looks like it's the size of a doorknob, that this magic item actually connects to an interdimensional space, which connects
Does
to
this have any connection to the door?
the doorknob
yeah.
kidnappers that you heard about a long while ago?
Yeah.
Yes. She looks at you, goes, "Well, indeed it does."
Okay.
She goes, "Originally when it happened, it was about 80 to 100 years ago." She goes, "Of course I didn't live here then, But apparently the last time that this happened, a group of adventurers found one of the gems and went into the maze and was able to rescue some of the people, and some people decided to stay there. They weren't too clear what was on the other side, but I found a shortcut that would let you. I can't ask you. I can't stand to lose you." She said, "No. We can set the gnome up." She goes, "Well," "I'll think of something."
Something else is going on with her and her family. All of a sudden now she's wearing gloves and, something about the glove hand.
She goes, she's a member of their guild. They're a thieves guild.
Yeah, I figured.
They're a pretty darn good thieves guild too. She goes, one of the three major power of the city.
But what about the others that seem to be encroaching?
Well, that seems to be something else that's brand new. But
Does
then
that have anything with the guys with the bags on their heads that are running around in the sewer, that are working under some?
No.
Okay.
She goes, and it's probably a good idea that they are administering that cure throughout the city, since Vargas's goblins have been breaching what would pass for a sick house containment, crawling through sewers and small pipes.
And what if Essex?
So as soon as you say that name, she gets very disturbed. She goes, the elf cross-dresser. She goes, you know she's not a drow.
I know she's not a drow. I've noticed at the moment I looked at her. And it's kind of funny the way her garbs are like two different houses sort of combined into one.
She goes, that's for being sick. She prefers to play both ends of being an elf. She's rumored to be a member of the royal family. Whether or not it's true, though, of course, is another story.
Well, she's not any of the drow high society.
Your mother goes, I don't know when the last time I saw another noble elf was. I don't even want to know the last time that I saw a noble, to tell you the truth. I think that their houses are all, if they're not living up there in the forest cradle, that they all may be gone.
Do you think Grandma and Grandpa might know anything about her?
You can go check.
What do you think they'll think of me and my new skin?
She goes, I don't know. 1 second. So you hear your mother clear her throat, and then, no sooner does she clear the throat, that drow that opened the door, runs in the room. He goes, shall I fetch them for you, ma'am? And she goes, your mother gets flustered. She goes, I'll be right back in a moment. So the drow, runs out of the room, and you hear the sounds of footsteps. She goes, never underestimate the value of a good servant. So a few minutes later, the footsteps, and you hear, Mr. and Mrs. Silverfoot, grandparents, beloved elders. He gets elbowed by your grandpa, and he goes, no, enough of that. Because you were supposed to say also, great farter. But that works for me. So your grandfather looks at you and goes, I told you. It would take effect sooner or later. He goes, transportation spells that went awry and made you a fey creature have finally taken effect. He goes, see, I told you, Mildred, I'm a powerful wizard. Your grandmother looks at him and goes, Wilfred, you haven't been a powerful wizard in the past 3 years. You don't even remember where you leave your glasses anymore. He goes, because they're on my head. She goes, well, anyways.
Grandfather, do you know of another young wizard that has come into town here recently?
He looks at you and goes, well, I have to,
I sketch out, image of her.
Yanuri?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, oh yeah, she was in my, third year nature studies. Yes. Yaniri, yeah, she's a nice lady.
Do you have any idea why she's in town all of a sudden?
Yeah, she lives in the wizard quarter. So she lives here in the city.
So, this whole thing about bodies and, do any of y'all recognize this? The code of, what was all written in on, the thing with the bodies?
No, but when your grandmother sees it, she goes, oh, that looks like Ithlinc, right?
Drow grandma?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Essex...
She goes, but I don't have the ability to read it.
Essex said it was something she wrote out for a customer of hers, and it was found on a dead body.
Okay. And
she told me that it was, when she wrote it down, did she write down the name of the individual with the address?
Yeah, she gave you the address.
So I then proceed to show the name and stuff for the person.
So when you hand it over to her, your grandmother starts chuckling. And she goes, this, if it is an address, you don't want to go there.
Okay.
Because she says, this is a Nat's Alley. And you would recognize the name. Okay. Nat's Alley is this alleyway that is barely wide enough for somebody to walk through without their shoulders touching both sides of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a place where you want to touch the sides of the wall. It feeds into a lot of different alleyways to like the adjoining neighborhood, which I think is part of the pipe. Actually, it is. It sits off the back of the pipe. So what happens is like people end up chucking trash and everything, and they will basically dump trash and filth and waste into the alleyway. People build like lean-to houses, things like that. So it's kind of like it's like a homeless camp / like dump. And clerics get assaulted when they try to walk through there and clean up. City guard have to go in large numbers, and even still, like what causes them to leave usually is like having filth dumped on them, either on purpose, on accident. They step in things, or like they step in a dead body, kind of like incidents. So I mean, it's definitely the place where you would go to find like
for somebody else to deal with. I'm gonna give that to the guard and leave it with like the Thieves Guild to deal with, and I just lay that out flat.
Okay.
But then I do mention the whole the conversation that was ever heard about tattooed gloves on asses, was it?
Yes. So when you
there's
mentioned
a new, I don't know if he's new, but like higher up member of the guard who actually wanted me to come to dinner tonight.
Do you remember his name? Or do you say it to her? Captain Ludo?
Yeah.
So Captain Ludo, when you mentioned that, your grandmother starts laughing. She goes, oh, he's so much of a good detective. Because I feel sorry for our rogue friends if they're behind that. And he goes, it's safe to eat dinner with Ludo.
Okay, so
it may advance your career, in fact.
So my only issue though, it would be then the whole making sure to keep business and work / pleasure aside. You know, what sort of stuff should I like be weary of? If I hear anything of certain areas that I should be weary of, you know, I'm sure Grandma will understand what I'm meaning.
With Ludo, there's no telling what he may say or what you may learn. He is an avid detective and collector of newspapers and weird stories.
Mm-hmm.
And he is someone that doesn't let go of details very lightly. So if he's on to someone, he's usually fixated on them for a good while.
Now the tattoo, is that the same as the gloves for the guild?
None of them would actually know that, so they would kind of look at confused for you. Because like you didn't see what the tattoo looked like either. Just that it was.
There was the mention of tattoo.
Yeah, it was just a glove.
Okay.
Like in a human hand, like a humanoid hand, glove on the ass. Now, see the glove hand, like when you see them, like they always identify themselves by. And your grandmother would have mentioned this too, that they're always identified by like that brightly colored glove, and like if you see them wearing like a vest as well. She goes, that's how they identify themselves, just like the things of her wear bags over their heads that are usually goblinoids.
Okay.
You can also see like sometimes like they'll wear necklaces that will have like teeth on it.
So in theory, if my police report, left out a little bit of information about some of this, whether your little mage student or your warlock student doing a little bit of finger waggling, in self-defense or anything like that, would that cause any trouble with him?
I'm sure if you let details slip to Ludo that he would want to know the full story, and he would fully vest himself in investigating.
So if he questions the validity of like what I said, which kind of left out some of that.
I'm sure with Ludo, since your uncles have had to deal with him before when they were running drugs. Um, Ludo is willing to look past lighter crimes in order to focus on more important things. Like his first few cases have been things like smuggling people, slavery, necromancy.
So then, like,
He's very much works hand in hand with the Inquisitor.
okay, because that's where I saw him when I went to visit the Inquisitor earlier today.
Yes, he's in charge of what's known as special crimes.
Right. He actually sounded like he was going to offer me a job in his department.
I'd be very leery of the jobs that he gets involved in.
Okay.
It's a lot of grunt work.
Okay.
So, I think we've lost Lily.
Lily!
So
Lily!
we can leave it off there because that's about an hour and a half of game fun. A little over. Lily, you want to keep playing?
Nope.
No?
Sorry, no.
All right, so we'll call it an end to this episode. Unless Sarah, there's anything else that you want to continue doing?
Just kind of like on her own with Grandma, just kind of running through what's been going on since she got back.
Okay.
And going through everything.
All right. Lily, before you duck out of game this evening, your grandfather mentions to you that he has to take a trip to the city of Halfway, and he expects to be back within at least two or 3 days. And if anything happens, he gives you an address and an inn that he's staying in. Okay. And that's where I'll leave Lily. So you fill Grandma in on everything that's been going on.
I give her the full 110% nitty gritty.
Okay. So.
And a little bit of the rundown about Essex with what's his face.
Okay. Oh, Essex and Evan.
Yes.
So she smiles about that. She goes, "Yes, I know something of that." She goes, "I introduced them."
Okay.
She goes, "Who do you think keeps an eye on Essex?"
Okay.
So, did you want to do dinner with Captain Ludo?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just the occasion, right?
Yes, you are. So when you go to dinner with Captain Ludo, and you show up at his house, he actually lives in the Free Folk District. So he actually lives in like this house that looks like it's a giant upside down bird's nest made out of twigs.
Okay.
And like you knock on the door, and when the door opens, it actually recedes into the ground.
Okay.
And a creature that looks almost like him, except you guess it's a she because it's wearing a dress. She looks at you and goes, "Oh, you must be our guest. Come in."
Thank you.
So yeah. So when you come in, like you automatically see like there's 9 or 10 little versions of them running around like playing tag.
Are they smaller than me or are they bigger than me?
They're about the same size as you, but like they are playing very rough and like they charge into one another. You notice that one of the things they do, they stand their ground and like one of them charges into the other and like tries to knock them over. It's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it seems to be some kind of game, and she doesn't disturb them while they're doing it. And she goes, well, Ludo's in his office. I guess I'll take it. And she looks at the kids and goes, will you stop that? She goes, we have a guest. She goes, go do that in the yard. And the neighbors can see you. Go show off.
What, may I ask what kind of game is this?
Oh, it's, they're protecting themselves. If you've never encountered any of us, we usually live out in the Great Red Waste or the Blasted Sandlands to the west. Out there where we have to protect ourselves against scorpion folk and drow and goblins that are not so civilized.
Right.
And there's also other horrible monsters that exist out there that we find that certain of our abilities that we have are we try to teach our children basic
Well,
defense.
I mean, it's, either a knockdown or don't get knocked down world, and
Yeah. So like it's basically them sitting there practicing one of their racial abilities, which is
Like
a
their
defense,
shield,
which is a
yeah.
defense stance that they can do. So when she leads you into the office, like, you remember how Quaff's office was? Like, except this is like, oh God, what is that movie where Mel Gibson is like fucking obsessed with Catcher in the Rye? I can't remember what it is, but like when you walk in, like there are, like you've seen single press newspapers and stuff off printing presses that are handed out by people that are newsies and stuff in the city. He has them like affixed to the wall, and there's strings, and like some of them are lined up one under each other. Like it looks like he thinks that things are connected, and you notice that there's a lot of weird stories that you wouldn't associate as being connected. Like one of the ones, like if you were to look on the wall, would be Red Jim missing from the exhibition. Red Jim reported at last seen in the town of Saltmarsh.
Does the gem make me think back to the whole, like, the doorknob?
In fact, when you look at the picture of the doorknob, it is the doorknob.
What is this article from?
Ludo turns around and he goes, "Oh, Silverfoot, I didn't see you in here." He
I'm
goes,
sorry, I just got in here, but this article is...
He goes, "Oh yeah, that's from a few. He goes, that's from earlier this year. Because my dates are a little sketchy." But he goes, "Yeah, so this red gem was part of an exhibition of forbidden items. So this forbidden item, or let me use his voice. So this doorknob is not actually a doorknob. It's actually a magical gem that can transport people into an interdimensional space. And
the maze. And
from my reports, and he pulls out like a folder.
She gets kind of like that misty, kind of not there, but she's like saying some of the same stuff that he's going through.
So like when he goes through it, like he goes. So what's rumored to be on the other side is a town called Misery.
Right, and then they've got blah 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 and blah in that town.
What do you mean blah 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 blah? Like what do you like?
From when she was there, weren't they there?
No, you guys have never been to Misery. Misery is.
So what is that area that was connected with the thing where the thing, and then like when we went there, and then there was like the maze that we saw.
Yes.
So that wasn't quite all that far into it.
You didn't get quite that far into it before the effects basically like snapped you out of it.
Okay.
And you guys were like, what? And it was like, no.
There.
And from what you would, or if you were started talking about it, like he would say that, well, there are supposed to be entities that are in the center of that maze that like to control who's there and who's not there.
There's also like the towns that are like surrounded by a mist, and like you can't leave. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be like.
So he stops and he goes, well, it sounds like you found another way into the town of Misery.
I don't know. It's hazy like a dream, but.
So when you further go into details, like
I'm only kind of tiptoeing into slight details.
So it's he tells you that the place that you're talking about is not Misery. Like where you went was the town of Barovia.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then I'm like, like remembering the names that have been used there.
And he says, well, that's another place that is connected to a lot of worlds. And my knowledge of it's a little bit hazy because I've never been there and I've never met anybody that's been there. But from what I've read, supposedly that it's supposed to be some kind of prison.
That would explain the way that people acted there. because there were different encampments and people were constantly traveling. And they all looked at me like I was really weird. Like they'd never seen me before.
So yeah, that was when you guys went to Barovia and you were kidnapped by the oh god, I can't think of their names. I should remember what it is.
The gypsies.
When you were kidnapped by the gypsies.
Did you ever have any information about gypsies in with any of the disappearances with this?
So he would start looking through like some of his folders and stuff.
I'm sorry. This is ruining your whole like thought of her tonight.
No, it's fine. I enjoy talking business.
But you may want to see if any of the others that may have had encounters or anything have had anything to do with like gypsy clans in the area.
So he looks through his files and he goes, they're called the Bastani. So the Bastani are here and not here.
Mm-hmm.
We've had we've had encounters with them before, and they come and they go as they please. You can try and lock one of them up, and you return, and they're not in their cell.
Don't if anybody has encounters with them, don't let them get their fortunes read by them.
Oh, that's one of the things that they always do. They read fortunes, they dance, they sell wine in the streets,
Yeah.
and they're gone in no time.
Yeah, but you get your fortune read, and there's the chance that you go disappearing into.
Because well, I'd have to write a report on this. So he starts writing what you tell him.
Okay, no, this isn't gonna like be on my record, is it?
No. He goes, why would it be on your record? It sounds like you encountered, or you had an encounter in the land of mist.
Right, but I don't want it to cause any issues with you.
Oh no, it shouldn't cause any issues. I mean, unless somebody's curious about it and finds out and wants to question you about your time in the land of mist. I mean, there's probably plenty of bards that would be like wonderfully interested in buying your story.
The only bard I want to find is my cousin who's missing.
He says, what's her name? Saphira Ebenstone.
Yeah.
He looks at you and goes, because well, she's reported missing along with a escaped wizard, escaped gnome wizard. Actually, he pulls out another file and he hands you this piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of this gnome. He has like a mohawk. He has like a gnome stocking cap like stuffed onto one side of his head. He's got like half a robe on, a pair of pants, and there's a pair of wands tucked into his pants or into his belt. And he has a battle axe across his back, and it says "Grumph the Amazing." Do not approach Grumph the Amazing. He is insane. Grumph the Amazing is wanted for escape from prison, for injury and assault to no lesser than 25 guards. He's also wanted for stealing back his equipment out of the prison, as well as taking off and causing at least a 3-week rampage where he basically decided to go drinking and he disappeared out of the city, thankfully. Nobody knows where he went. The city guard was not really able to track him very well. It seemed like he was a little bit more wily than they thought. And the last place he was reported being seen was Saltmarsh. And he was in the presence of your cousin. In fact, he was one of the party members that your cousin was hired into by the local town guard. So they hired this gnome, and he hands you a piece of paper with a wild elf that you actually saw earlier, Arnos.
Mm-hmm.
And it lists a few details about Arnos, that he's in the city looking for his wife, who was kidnapped by a elven noble. Who is wanted for slavery. He's actually looking for them. He left the party to basically their own ends when he had received a message back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was somebody else that was with them. they have with them also, he hands you another piece of paper, and there's a picture of like this small little creature. It doesn't look like a gnome. It doesn't look like a halfling. It lists something called a Zeth, and it says the name is Four Winds Conspire, and that he's suspected of being a member of the Assassin's Guild. And he was also in the presence of your cousin as well.
Wow. What did this naive child get herself into?
An awesome time. You have no idea how awesome her party is.
Oh, I'm sure, but I'm calling her a very naive bard. From what Grandma told me.
Or she's a bard wizard, so.
Well, I'm just calling her a bard and just leaving it at that, you know.
Yeah, so that's what Ludo can tell you about it.
I appreciate all this extra information. It's definitely going to help when I try to find her for my grandmother. She's very worried of her.
So about this time, his wife knocks on the door, and she tells you all that dinner's ready. And we'll punch out on dinner, because I see you over there yawning.
No, I'm good. Like, I'm kind of curious to get to the place to see if he's going to ask anything about her report.
So with dinner being eaten and everything, he doesn't talk business. In fact, like it's like a pleasant small talk kind of thing. You know, like how was your day, honey? How's your day? How was your guest day? You know, children done anything new? Like some of the children show off. You know, one of those type of things. Now, once dinner's done, like he motions to you that you two can retire to his office again.
Okay.
Now, do you make mention that you had any part of that report? Because like since you've already brought up other topics, that is not on the front of his mind, and you can tell. So you see him leaning back in your chair as you're having a thinking moment. He goes, oh, rightio. He goes, oh, this has your name attached to it.
Oh.
And he hands you a copy of your report that you wrote earlier in the day.
Oh, right.
Did you all ever find anything out about this?
Well, actually, it's funny you ask about that because I went to see the Inquisitor about the information that was written on the papers that were found on the body. Names her boss again. Did he give you the copy of the funky note that was written out? I was told it was player writing, or that I was able to find out that the Inquisitor.
He goes, no, but this is all very interesting.
So the Inquisitor was able to ascertain some of the information on it, and told us to go speak with Essex. And she said that it was
the House of Favors.
Right. So I told her I was coming by on official business, and that we're investigating a murder, and the document in question. And she said that it was actually something she was employed to write 20 copies of the same thing for one individual. And do you have something to write with? I can give you the name and the address that she gave me.
So he gives you a piece of parchment, a piece of like a quill.
I write out the information she gave me verbatim.
Okay.
That's the only information I have on it. Like I went above to kind of look into the information because I didn't think my boss was going to do anything with it, honestly, unfortunately, and it seems pretty strange. Because he just kind of put it in a box for somebody else.
He goes, he'll probably be there in the morning.
Yeah, okay. But, I mean, if it's something that you're into, I mean...
Because my office hours are a little weird. I'll be there in a few hours.
Okay.
No reason to worry.
When I tried to question her a little bit further on it, she wouldn't give me any other information unless, of course, I paid her anything or, tit for tat with her.
He goes, oh, well. She probably viewed you as a customer at the point that you started asking questions, which, that's her line of business.
Right.
Information.
Well, so, I did president it as I'm in uniform, and I came in saying official business. Yeah.
Sometimes when you're a newer member of the Watch, you find that some of the more seasoned people in the city will overlook you. So it causes problems a lot of times. I'm watching a cat crawl under an ottoman. Galaxy is crawling on her belly under the ottoman.
Yeah.
So a lot of more, established citizens will not pay attention to you. Find ways to avoid your questions.
I'm sure. She did seem kind of shady in her appearance, I know Drow, and well.
So he doesn't say anything to that at all. Actually, he doesn't even make a face or anything. So you guys basically continue your conversation for a little bit.
Like that nonchalant poking.
So he doesn't really give any more information. Like he files it away, and he goes, "Well, I will look into the address here in a few hours once I go into the office." But I'm afraid that I must bid you good evening.
That's fine. I do appreciate your hospitality, and I do thank you for the information regarding my cousin. I do hope you have a good evening.
So that's where we will leave it off for now. Plum, plum, plum. And Lily's doom.
I only give him 10 minutes.